Hello, guys. Good morning. Welcome to the session today. Hope you all are doing good. Give me a minute, guys. So I'm setting up my MySQL. Meanwhile, let us start a data proc cluster as well. Oh, I deleted the cluster. Okay. Okay. Let me create the cluster in 2 minutes. Or let me create the cluster in 2 minutes. Okay. So I wanted to show you how to read the data from a database and do the transformation. So for that one, I wanted to do it. Meanwhile, I wanted to create one firewall rule. I'm just setting up my MySQL database on top of the Linux virtual machine. So I just wanted to load this data from some virtual machine to the Google BigQuery. So for that one, I'm just setting up the environment. So it was not working earlier. So that's the reason I took some time and setting up it. You can also do it if you want. Okay, it's done. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. So the MySQL is running perfectly. Okay, it will open. So I'm going to move some data from here. Okay, I do not have any database. Let me going to create. I'm creating a database because we need a database to hold a table. The database I'm giving the sample DB. Okay, so you can think of like source DB also. We can take source DB. Okay, you can see here on the left side it will update it. Okay, we do not have any tables. So I'm going to insert some data. So I'm going to creating a table. So first for this one, I wanted to create one table and I wanted to load it to the destination, right? So usually in the company, what will happen is that all of the setup will be already ready. But for now to replicate the real world, we wanted to, I'm just getting everything. Okay. I'm creating an employee table with employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, and salary. And I wanted to insert some data as well. Okay, so I'm having almost William, sorry. So I'm having almost more than 20 records here. So let me insert it. Done. So if I refresh it here, you will be having a table employees and you will be having it data like this. And if you want to see the data also, you'll be able to see like this. You have more than 20 records here, right? So you have almost 30 records are there. So what the requirement is that from the data proc price park, I wanted to read this data from this database and I wanted to do some transformations. Okay, so let us try to do that. Okay, let us try to do that. For that, let me see whether the cluster is ready. Yes, the cluster is also ready. I'm going to go inside the cluster. Okay, web interfaces, Jupyter Lab. Okay, I'm creating a job too. Already we have here, right? So if you can, okay. So I'm going to increase the size of it. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so the very first thing is that whenever we wanted to create a job, you already remember, right? So we first follow these steps. We first follow these steps, import all modules. Okay, import all the modules. So this is our first step. So you can see here, I am importing the PySpark. So you can also keep this thing at the top here. Okay, whatever the modules you wanted to import, you import it here. So once you import it, create a Spark session. Okay, so here, this is my job 2. This is my Spark session I'm creating. And once after that, we need to make the source connection. Okay, source connection, that is MySQL DB. Okay, we need to make a connection to the MySQL database. Hope you all can hear me, right? Hope you all can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So once you have set up your, once you have imported all the modules and you have created a Spark session, and after that, I wanted to make a connection to the source MySQL DB. So for that one, you can actually go to uh, JDBC connection in Python to MySQL or Python or PySpark, whatever you can mention, PySpark to MySQL. You can mention. Okay, there will be a string and there will be a that, so you can actually go and check it. Yeah, here it is, somewhere they have mentioned. Yeah, so you can see here. So this is what I have done. So I have imported all the modules and created a Spark session, and after that, define your MySQL database connection details. So I'm going to just copy these things. Okay, I'm going to just copy these things. I'm going to just go to my here and paste it here. Okay, so this is my URL. Okay, this is my URL, and here it is asking host name, that nothing but a IP address of your host. So my host is installed on top of the virtual machine. The external IP address is going to be the IP address. Okay, so come here and paste it here. Okay, so this is what, right? So JDBC MySQL, this is your host name, and the port number you have to mention. MySQL will be hosted on top of the port number called 3306. All the time you can mention that 3306. Okay, and your database name you can mention. The database name you can mention. The database name can be, if you remember, the database name was SourceDB. Okay, I'm going to mention SourceDB. So what will happen with this URL is that this URL will make, this is a string. So what will do, it will create a connection or establish a connection to your MySQL database, which is hosted on this particular IP address. And this is a port number, and this is your uh, database name. Sometimes you don't need to mention the port number also. That is also fine, because it is already known to everyone that the MySQL is hosted on the 3306 only. You can actually remove it. It's not required, but yeah, anyway, you can mention it. So close it. What is this? Okay, so after that, you can see here, read from MySQL. You can, if you wanted to read any MySQL, you can see here, this is what you have to do. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it here. So if you wanted to read from any of this one, you can mention your table name and user. I have to mention my user. I am mentioning the password also here, but usually we shouldn't mention the password here. This password will be stored in some secret and we are going to use that. So this is how these details, you will not be mentioning it here. User details is fine, but the password will not be stored here. But I am, for now, for this temporary demo purpose, I am providing the password here. In the companies, they will be storing this password in some secret manager, and they will be mentioning those secret manager details here. Yes. And table name is employee, right? My table name is employees. Copy the table name and paste here the table name. Okay, so this is how we are creating a data frame one. Okay, spark.read.jdbc URL is mentioned here, table name is mentioned here, the properties are MySQL properties. Here we have given the properties on MySQL only. So I'll remove this properties is equal to my properties. Okay, otherwise it will not understand. Then let me try to show the data if it is able to make a connection to the source or not. We will be able to see it now. Anyway, okay, this is deprecated what it is saying. Let me try to copy this new one and try to paste it here. Okay, and let me run it one more time. Okay, see here, guys. We are able to connect it to the source or not. See here, we are able to connect it to the source, and whatever the details that we have at the source, we are also having at the destination as well. Okay, so this is how you can make a connection to the this one. So if it is like SQL Server, you can also ask for the SQL Server connection details, source connection details. If you wanted to connect it to the Oracle, there will be a proper string details will be there for Oracle also. Whatever the database that you are using, if it is Postgres also, you can connect it to the Postgres from PySpark. So Python provides you all the details properly. We just have to make it to our we just have to change those details according to our project and database details. Automatically, we will be able to make a connection to it. See, I haven't done anything here. Do you think I have remembered this thing or this thing? I just make a copied the same thing because for each database, when the PySpark or Spark library was written in, they have their own way of reading the data from this particular database. So those details are mentioned here. I have changed the username, password, and driver. Automatically, we created a connection to the source. Okay, and after that, what do you wanted to do? After that, what you wanted to do? If you wanted to do any of the details, if you wanted to do any of the transformations, you can do it, right? Transformations step. Okay, this is a transformations. If you wanted to do any of the transformations, feel free to do that. Okay, so for example, let us try to do one of the transformation and then we will load it to the destination. So two things we wanted to do. One is do some transformations and load it to BigQuery. Okay, so for the transformation step, we already have the data. So let us try to, let me think of, I just created this data just now only. So if I wanted to do some transformations, John Doe, I can do some concatenations to get the full name. Okay, that I can do. So let us try to create a one column called full name, which is a concatenation of first name and last name. Okay, so let us try to do that, sir. Okay, so first, so let me take df2 is equals to df1 dot, I wanted to add with the column. Okay, I wanted to add with the column. And which column we wanted to add? Sir, I wanted to add full name column. Just I wanted to do some simple transformations, sir. I don't wanted to do anything. Just simple transformations I wanted to do so that we will be able to have. we will be able to have some kind of a data that we can able to load it to the destination. Okay, so for example, full name, if I wanted to take the full name, I need to do the concatenation. So usually in the PySpark, we have concat function, that is concat debless. We can use it. And you wanted to concat with what? So you can mention here. You can also check how the concat debless works. Concat debless in PySpark, right? So you can also look at that. Okay. You can see here. So you can see here, this is how it works. So for example, so this is one data frame you can think of, and they wanted to add data frame dot s, data frame dot d, and this is the delimiter. Okay, with this delimiter, they wanted to add this one and this one. Similarly, I wanted to add the same thing. So for example, my delimiter, I wanted to full name is equals to, I wanted to space. Okay, yeah, I can give space, and the column name is this one, and df1 dot full name comma df1 dot last name, right? df1 dot last name. Now I think we have added one column to the existing data frame. Okay, so what I will do is that let me try to check it whether it is working or not. Okay, if it is not working, that's where again there will be a problem. Let me check it. Perfect. So okay, with the column missing. Okay, no. What is before concat? Okay. Here the brackets are missing, right? Brackets are missing. Sorry. See, we have added this one with the column. You should not add this thing. And yes, because in the with column, we are adding this column. The column is coming from this one. It's a derived column, right? It is coming from two columns by concatenating those two columns. Yes, now it will come, I believe. Okay. Name concat is not defined, yes. So if it is not defined, we need to import it. Okay. So it is also in the SQL functions only, comma, concat debless. Okay. So I don't want it to see the data all the time like this. I would say just two records. Okay. Just two records I wanted to see so that it would be easy for us. Two records, right? See, we have added a full name column, which is John space Doe, John Doe, Jane Smith. Okay, so this is how you can able to do the transformation. Sir, I wanted to do a few more transformations, sir. I wanted to hide a higher month. I wanted to add this. I wanted to get this month separately. I wanted to get this date separately. So if you wanted to get it, you can directly add one more column, or you can directly add it one more column here. So that is dot with the column sir, higher month. Sometimes we need higher month. Okay, so higher month, comma. How you are going to get it? You need the month, right? Month from the existing data frame. That existing value is df1 dot is higher date. From the higher date, I wanted to extract. From the higher date, I wanted to extract the month. You can do it. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Slash. Right. Slash. Month. Oh, month is not defined. So I'm going to mention that is also from the same functions, guys. Month is also from the same function. If you want the year also, you can mention the year. Sir, I wanted to get the year also. Higher year, higher month, higher date. If you wanted to get it, feel free to do that separately. Sometimes we need these details, right? So higher, I would just say higher day, higher month, higher year. Okay, day. I'll just say mention day. Day of month. Let's see later if it is throwing an error. We will see month, year is year directly. and day of month, month, year. So we need to copy and import it. And let's see if I think I'm having some doubt here. So let's see if it is working, then what that means it is good. If it is not working, then there will be a problem. Yeah, it is good. See here, we have a full name, we have a higher day, we have a higher month, we have a higher year. Okay, so this way, whatever the transformations you wanted to do, you can do it, guys. So I don't need this full name and last name. So for that one, what I will do, okay, what I will do, df3 is equal to df2 dot. I will select my specific columns. Those columns are, I want the employee ID column, df2 dot employee ID, comma df2 dot employee full name. Okay, employee full name, employee email, df2 dot hire date, and df2 dot salary, df2 dot hire day, 2 dot hire month, df2 dot hire year. Okay, perfect. And we wanted to see the data. Okay, and okay, right? So we have we have removed that full first name and last name, and this is how it is. And I'm not doing much transformations. If you wanted to do a few more transformations, also feel free to do that, sir. Okay, if you wanted to do any of the transformations, feel free to do that. I have given you a lot of things, and you can also go to the documentation for verification. So if you are missing something or if you need some kind of a help, you can always go and check it how you can able to get it. Okay, so that's what it is. And this is also there. So if you wanted to get some MySQL connections, you can have the details here. Properly, everything is properly documented. You can just check it. Okay, now I will come here. Okay, now I will come here. I wanted to load it to the BigQuery. For loading it to the BigQuery, we already know. Okay, so I'm going to copy this thing. I'm going to copy this thing, entire thing. And we have also df3 and it is df4 only. df3 actually. df3, right format. The table name I have to change it. I'm going to make it as d job2. Source bucket, everything I'm changing it. I'm going to replace this thing with this thing, and sorry, this also with this thing, data loaded from MySQL DB successfully, and this is also perfect, and this is also perfect. Okay, let me run it. Completed the transformation as per the requirement successfully, and the final step is loading it to the BigQuery. Let me open the BigQuery in one page. Load it to the BigQuery successfully, and if you can go here, if you can go to example dataset, you have a job 2. Click on it. You have here job 2, employee ID, full name, email, hire date, salary, all of those things. Okay, and you have 30 records. Okay, you have 30 records. That's perfect, right? And sir, I wanted to add few more records and run the script. For example, let me go to my MySQL DB, and I wanted to insert a few more records. Okay, so then we will see if I can able to insert it. Let's try to insert few more records and check it. So I'm adding some 5 more records here, and what I will do, I will run it. Okay, that means it is added. Now it is having almost It is having almost 35 records. But earlier it was only having, you can see here, it was only having 30 records. You can see here only 30 records. Now I wanted to run my pipeline, and you can also run it. Okay, it is successful, right? So you can go to the BigQuery and refresh your contents and click on the job 2 and go to the details, and you have here 35 records, and you can also preview the data. Perfect, right? So this is how the data will be automatically updated. Okay. And sir, I don't wanted to see like this, sir. I wanted to, I wanted to check it like this here itself. And sir, for example, while I'm printing it, I wanted to print the row count also, comma, the row count. You wanted to print it. Okay. So if you wanted to print the row count also, that also you can do it, comma, some row count. So row count is equal to, how you get the row count, sir? Tell me, sir, what is the function to get the count of the, for example, I have this transformation, so I wanted to know in the df3 how many rows are there. I wanted to get it, how many, the count of records. If I wanted to get, what is the function? I can directly use the count function. Perfect. So I can also use here df1 dot count, so that we will be able to check the row count. And after that, and here similarly, I'm going to copy this thing, and I'll go here, comma, I will mention, but here it is not row, it's df3. Perfect, right? And here also the same thing. I wanted to do row count, but it is, I wanted to mention df3 only. Okay, because this is df3 only finally. Okay, yes. Now what we are going to do, if you run it, let us check it. For us also we can check it, right? Okay, so row count is 35. The row count is 35. And here also once loaded is how many records also it is successfully loaded to the BigQuery also 35. Perfect, right? So this way you can able to check it, whether how many records you are reading from the source, how many records you are loading it to the destination also you can able to do it. The column count, if you wanted to check the column count, we have, I think, give me 1 minute. So I think we have uh, columns is actually gives us the column names, I believe. Let us, yeah. So for example, if I wanted to just will give me 1 minute. So what I will do, df1 dot just give us columns. So if I print it, what it will give me, just like, okay, list is not iterable. Okay. So it is giving me the columns. And if I wanted to check the length, then length will give me the length will give me the 6. Yes. So if you wanted to check it, so you can do one thing. So length of that term. So if you wanted to get it, I'm writing it here, not like a column names and all of those things, just writing it here. So for example, df3, okay, length of df3 dot columns, right? Okay, we can do this thing. So to get the column count, so this is like one thing. And so here also I'll just copy this thing. um, Length of df1, right? This df1, this df3, and here also you can add length of df3. Perfect. Okay, see, 35 records and 6 columns. Okay, we have columns 8 because we have added two extra columns and with three extra columns, and we removed one of the full last name, and that two columns we have removed it. Right, four columns we have added, two columns we have removed. That's the reason two is added. So you can see here 25 and 8. So this is how you can able to do it. Okay. Now, no, sir, I don't wanted to see like this, sir. I wanted to write it in a separate way. So, for example, if you wanted to see, so you can see it here. But I wanted to print it separately. Print, if you wanted to check it, print, and it is row count. The row count is this one. And after that, so I wanted to again print, and it is just telling you there are many ways. Column count, okay, and you can use that in the brackets. Perfect, right? So just do it. Okay, something wrong somewhere. Successfully. What was the problem here? Okay. Okay, sorry. This is missed. Yeah. See here. Row count it is giving. So this way you can implement the same thing at here also. So that is how you can able to implement it. Okay. Yeah. Hope you got the point, right? Yeah. So that's what. So you can, of course, from the back here to there also you can write it. Okay. So if you wanted to write it to the this one, you can also check here. Okay. Write to MySQL DB from PySpark. Sorry. What I have written. Write to MySQL DB from PySpark. Right. Okay, so and an example, you can try this out, guys. You have it. Okay, you just wanted to write it, right? So you have everything here. So they are doing some hands-on example, setup, transforming the data. Why they are not providing the code here? Okay, so somewhere they are providing. So this is what we have done. Like we have created imported expression and we have done it, and JDL, we have read the table. Okay, executing some queries. You can also execute like this also. This is Spark SQL. Okay, and after that they did not mention read tutorial is in that. 1 minute, guys. No. In the knowledge. Okay, so I think somewhere they will show how to write it to the BigQuery as well. Okay, writing it to the MySQL using Spark. So you can actually use this one. Yes, copy it, write it. Okay, just copy this thing. Okay, I'm gonna go there. So let us do that. So df, our is df. Okay, so this is an additional step, guys. It's an additional step for your understanding. Additional step to write to MySQL DB. Okay, so df3, right? df3. Okay, df3 write format JDBC, URL is URL, database table, DB table is table name we have properly. The table name, I wanted to write it to the different table, guys. I don't want it to write it to the same table. Okay, so I wanted to write it to that different table. Table name I'm going to as employee 2, and user is username we have mentioned properly in the connection details, right? So it will not take, I believe. So instead, what I will do, I will take this properties and use it here. Okay, these properties I will take and use it here. Otherwise, I may have to give this username and username and these details. I have to give it separately, which I don't want it to do it. Okay. Or for now, let me give my user. We can make it is here also instead of format we can directly use the JDBC also because JDBC itself it is a one of the string and the URL is already the URL. Okay, the URL is already the URL somewhere it is here, right? URL and DB table, the table name I have given my user, my password, override, save. Okay, let me run it. Let me see. Okay, before that, let me see whether the df3 dot show is running. Yes, it's running, so I can remove it. And now let me run this thing. Okay, it started running. Yes, it is. It did not throw any error. That means if I go here and where is refresh? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. I'm gonna. I'm gonna see here. You have employee two, right? You can see here employee two, and you have the columns. And if you wanted to see the data, perfect, right? Employee two also came. Right, so you have all the 35 records. So this is also, it's all the things are here only, guys. We just have to know the connection properties. If you know the connection properties, that's it. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions today? Write it to the, you can also directly mention, instead of format you can directly mention JDBC because JDBC is also directly available. Okay, JDBC is also directly available as I know, as for the last time when I checked it, it's available. And I don't need to mention these all of these things details like this. Let me try that. So in my current project I'll be using it like this. So df3 dot write dot jdbc bc. Let me try this one. Okay, jdbc url, the same thing. I can mention url is equal to url comma and the table is equals to table name comma and mode is equal to override comma connection. But these are two connection properties, right? I can just copy these connection properties from here and mention it here. Okay, I think this is perfect. This is one of the things that we can do like this instead of writing all of those things. So JDBC is already available, so I think so. Let us try it and check it. So instead of now table, for this table name, I wanted to give it as table 3, employee 3 for checking purpose. So this is also one possible table. Usually, it would be better if you try to mention your table names in caps. Okay, it would be better if you try to mention your variables in caps so that it would be easy to verify later when you check it. Okay, all the caps are variables. Okay, now let me try. It is employee 3. Let me try it out. Let me run it. Oh yeah, it's running. It's a simple way of using it. Okay, so this is actually easy, right? It ran successfully. That means if you can go and refresh it, you have an employee 3 also here somewhere. Yeah, here it is, employee 3. So that is how you can use it like this. This is a simple way of using it because already the properties we have defined it. I don't want it to remove, provide the properties and the table name URL is also already provided. So that's the reason. Instead of this one, go for this one. Okay. So anyway, anything is fine. Okay, I'm saving it. I'm gonna send you this one as well, guys, as a job too. And I have given you 2 to 3 assignments. I want you guys to look at it and try it out. And if you don't get it, try to go to the Google and check it, search it, and try it out. And if you still don't get it, you have my code and refer it. Okay, yeah. And even though you refer it and don't think that okay, this is easy, I don't do it. Okay, even though you got it, the logic, and again practice it and see whether it is working or not, and then only you leave it. Okay, yeah. Any questions? Okay, okay, yeah, this is what it is. For example, data frame 3. So you don't want it to. See, for example, I have done this many transformations. Okay, so think that I have done this transformation. Okay, I don't want it to create a data frame 3. Okay, I don't want it to create a data frame 3. Before that, I wanted to check whether I'll be able to either you can show, okay, either you can show and mention 2 records inside. So that automatically before creating the data new data frame, you can see it. Okay, you can see it. Or you can also mention collector to see the data, just to see the data. That's it. Collector takes one portion argument, but were given two. Okay, what was that? Right. Okay, so you can able to see the data like this. That's it. To verify your data, each column wise, you can see the data here, right? So that is all. Just to verify the data. Usually, okay, we can limit it also somewhere, but yeah. So if before creating the data frame, now okay, this is working fine. I wanted to create this as a new data frame. That's where we will be creating this as a new data frame. Okay, yeah. We remove that collector show and we create this as a new data frame. That's how it works. Okay. You don't need to remember anything. That's what I'm saying. See, I wanted to know the collect. So you already know the logic. You remember, sir. I wanted to show some records. Show 5 records in PySpark. Okay. I wanted to display. Okay. So you wanted to display 5 records in data frame PySpark. Automatically, it will tell me, right? So you can see use show command inside that you can use 5 or 10 or whatever it is. So everything it is available here. You can see you can use take or tail. Tail means last 5 records. First means first 5 records. It will show. Collect means it will also. So all of these things are available here. You just have to do your a bit of research and it comes with the practice. When you keep on practicing it, right? So you will come to know. Okay. You can also go to that examples and see how it works. Not here, sorry. Here you have all the things: reading, RDDs, actions. Here, these are the things: creating data frame, where, filter with column limit, drop, distinct group by joining. For each, these are the loops. Like okay, union, all, collect, cache and persist. This is something that I want you guys to focus on. Cache and persist. Okay, cache and persist. Okay, let me give you some basic interview questions, guys. In the interviews, they're gonna be asking you these questions. So I'm gonna first close this thing. I'm gonna download this thing as well, job 2, and I will give it to you. And I'm gonna stop the cluster. Yeah, let me stop the cluster and close this one. Close this one. I'm gonna stop my instance. Okay, that's perfect. Close my MySQL workbench. I'm gonna tell you some basic interview questions. Okay, this I'm gonna copy and paste it to you as well. Don't worry. Okay, so uh, yes, this is the common question they're gonna be asking you. First thing is that in the PySpark, difference between okay, no. So before that, optimization techniques in PySpark. What are the optimization techniques in PySpark? They're going to be asking you. This is a commonly asked question, sir. I'm telling you. commonly asked question, optimization techniques in PySpark. So there are 4 to 5 commonly used optimization techniques. I'm going to tell you. First thing is, okay, use the appropriate cluster configuration. Okay, so for example, whenever you are creating your cluster, so if you have a proper cluster size based on the volume of the data and the complexity of the task, so then it will be able to handle, the cluster will be able to handle your data, handle your analytics. And if you don't mention the proper cluster configuration, like, so even though it requires a lot of cluster size but you have given a very small size, that's where the PySpark is taking a lot of time to run your code. So choose appropriate cluster configuration. Okay, this is one of the important steps when we are working with the Dataproc or PySpark. Choose appropriate cluster configuration. Okay, in terms of cluster size, cluster size, like machine configuration, machine size, and machine configuration, machine details. Or node configuration, I would just say node config. Node config has to be proper, okay, because nodes are the ones working really backend. So this is one thing that you have to remember. Okay, and the next thing is, what is the next thing, sir? Whenever you are going to work with a lot of data, go for the partitioning. Okay, go for the partitioning, data partitioning. Go for the partitioning. What is mean by partitioning, sir? Sir, partitioning is like dividing a large table into a smaller partition, so that dealing with, for example, managing a bigger rock is very hard for me to lift it up. Okay, managing a bigger rock, if there is a bigger rock is there, if I have to hold it and move it to some other place, it's very hard for me. What I can do is, like, I can break it to a small manageable pieces. I can move those small pieces to the one more location. It's very easy for me. So similarly, when you are working with a large amount of the data, try to go for the data partitioning. What it will do is that it will try to create the number of partitions. Try to create the number of partitions, so that instead of working with the large amount of the data, you can able to work with the manageable pieces of the data. So that's what is the data partitioning, and it comes under data partitioning or repartitioning. So these are the two techniques. Repartitioning is nothing but repartition your data into optimal number of partitions. Either you wanted to make it few partitions or more partitions, which will impact your performance. Okay, choose the right partitioning. Otherwise, there will be a lot of things. So the partitioning keys also plays a role here. So for example, right number of partitions important, and partition key also. Partition key is also important. Okay, so these are the two things that you have to remember. Most of the time, if you mention this partitioning key as an integer, it will give you a good result. Okay, this is one more thing. The third thing is broadcasting. What is meant by broadcasting, sir? See, what happens in the broadcasting is that whenever you are joining two tables, so when you are dealing with the joining kind of activities, instead of going, for example, assume that you have a small table and you have a bigger table. Okay, one table is a smaller and one table is a bigger. And what you can do is that put that small table over the memory to avoid the expensive shuffling operations. Okay, if you try to put that, for example, okay, so so usually what happens in the real time is, like, so the driver program, whenever you submit a driver program, and the driver program will be submitted to the nodes, the worker nodes, and the worker nodes are the ones actually doing the activities. So when you have given the worker node, like, two data frames. Okay, when you mention the broadcast information, right, what it will do is that it will try to take that particular table over the memory. So whenever it needs that table, it will not go to the disk or it will not go to the some other node and get the data and do the transformation. Okay, what it will do, it will already broadcasting the data over the memory, so that what it will do, whenever the table is required, right, it will be taking the data and it will be doing the transformations. Okay, so that's the reason each worker node stores the broadcast data in the memory. So whenever the data is stored in the memory, so whenever we performing the operations that involve the broadcasting data, the worker nodes can perform these operations locally without needing to fetch the data from other nodes or shuffling the data between the other nodes as well. So that's what the shuffling will be reduced, and whenever we keep the data over the memory, the performance operations will be very faster. Okay, so that is what so you can also mention how there are two types of it. One is broadcast variables. Either you can go for broadcast variables. Most of the times we don't go with the variables. Broadcast joins. Okay, so for example, whenever you are doing the joining, right, so what you will do here is that, okay, for example, you have think that you have two data frames, df1 comma df2. You wanted to join. Out of these, you have df2 is small, df2 is smaller table. Okay, if you assume that the df2 is smaller table, so if you do that joining transformation, right, you will be doing it like this. Okay, df1 dot join, and now you will mention broadcast. Now this df2 is there, right? You will mention here inside it. So now what you are doing it, you are broadcasting the df2 table. That means this df2 data will be stored over the memory in that particular node. So that's what it is. Now you will mention the condition and type of the. So this is how you will be doing it. Now what you have used the broadcast function to keep this data frame to store over the memory in that particular node, and data shuffling will reduce to fetch the data from this data frame. The data will be very faster to do the perform operations. So this is a one more activity. So what is broadcasting, sir? So broadcasting is nothing but just broadcast the smaller data set or data frame or data to all to worker node address, worker node. Okay, so whatever the worker nodes you do, so you can able to do that, or to all worker nodes, to all worker nodes. Okay, in each worker node it is doing the data transformations, right? So when you have this kind of a df2 in all the worker nodes, whenever that is doing the operations, it will be doing the operations very fast. So this is a one more example. Okay, so this is broadcasting, partitioning, and choosing. And okay, I think query optimization is also very important. I will send you all of these notes, don't worry. So query optimization. So for example, usually we will be doing some query optimizations or code optimization, whatever you can mention. Okay. So what is this one? So for example, see what people do is like no. So they have some very huge data and they will be doing a lot of transformation. At the end, they will be using the where condition. At the end, they will be using the where condition. See, whenever you wanted to filter out the data, do that operation first. Do that filter operation first. Do the cleaning operation first. Okay. When you do the cleaning operations first, what will happen is that, for example, you wanted some 1,000 records are there. When you wanted to see only 100 records, do that filter operation first, so that you will be only the next transformation steps are only dealing with the 100 records. But if you don't do the filter operation first, you are doing all the transformations on all the 1,000 records, and finally you are doing the filter operation, which will eventually increase the memory usage, and which will hamper the performance. So that's what you try to do the filter operations or cleaning operations at first. Okay, that's what I would say. Clean cleaning operations first. Okay, so you can actually go for the cleaning operations first. And whenever you are reading the data from some databases, try to read the data. Try to read the data, and if you wanted to mention those filter also, you can do mention those filter operations first itself. So this is also one more. And try to use the built-in functions. Okay, built-in functions. So if there is a chance of using the functions, and don't create your custom functions, try to use the built-in functions. Built-in functions will give you good performance. And whenever, if usually people will be also using the RDDs, but instead of using the RDDs, use the data frames. Data frame gives you the good optimization opportunities. So compared to the RDDs, so try to use the data frames over the RDDs. Okay, so these are the commonly used optimization techniques. I will send you this day document as well, guys. And there is a persistent cache is also there, and data pruning is also there. I am going to send you these details and try to read it out. Repartitioning and coalesce and data skewness. I'm going to send it to you. Give me a minute. I have all the details somewhere. And before going to the interview, I'm telling you, you can play with these things. Okay, when you play with these things, right, it will be very useful for you. Okay. When you can play with these things, this will really help you. I'm telling you, really help you, and it will make you stand out other than other. Okay, so this is one, two, coalesce, broadcasting, optimization techniques, persistent cache, data pruning. Okay, so these are the questions, and inside that, so there is a data problem. Read it out. You will be able to easily understand it. And the difference between the partition and coalesce. Repartitioning is like either you increase or decrease the number of partitions, but there will be a data shuffling happen. So that's the reason it is a costly operation. So avoid using it. And coalesce is like decreasing the number of partitions only, always. So you try to merge the existing partitions to a one partition. That's what the coalesce is comparatively fast. They're going to ask you this thing, which is faster, coalesce or persist. Okay, so always the coalesce is faster because there is no data shuffling, and so that is the reason. And the cost, the coalesce is like a, it will take less time. And testing also I have mentioned here. Now I told you two things like bash test variables as well as broad test joins. And likewise part optimization techniques in PySpark and persist and cache. Persist is nothing but to store the data, to I mean to say to cache the data. So it allows you to specify custom storage level, giving you more control over how the data is cached. Okay, it's like a broad level. One of the component is one of the what I would say, one of the part is caching. Okay, so whenever you are doing the persist, right, you are not mentioning the custom storage level. It will be, you will be mentioning memory only, disk only, memory card only, many things. Okay, but for the cache, it's only for the memory only. So the data will be cached on for the memory only. So that's what the difference is. This one. And data pruning is a optimization techniques to reduce the amount of data and processed during the data retrieval, data processing operations. And whenever you are connecting it to the database, right, so you can do these things. Okay, so this is also one more technique that you can follow. Yes. Okay, do these things, guys. Go for it. It will really help you. And I will give you some Python interview questions also, commonly asked Python interview questions. I'm going to copy it and paste it here. Okay, coding questions. Paste it here. You can actually look at it. So there are plenty of the things like if you wanted to find the count of each element in the list. Okay, they're gonna be asking you in the these kind of questions they will be asking you in the interviews, guys. Okay, fifth the highest salary. And to retrieve the employees whose salary is greater than their manager's salary. Okay, if you wanted to filter out the elements from the list, all these things, just go ahead. Okay, sorry. All of these things, it's for your knowledge only. These are the commonly copied interview questions from my experience. Just to go and before going to interview, I want you guys to look at it once. This will give you a very good knowledge. Okay, great. Right? Yeah. Okay. So these are some Python questions, some SQL questions are also there, and I'll keep on adding it. So I'm also sitting for the interviews, right? So I will keep on adding. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? This is what the day-to-day activities, right? This is what is the day-to-day activity. I load the data, I do the transformations. As per the requirement, I'll be doing the transformation. This is my day-to-day activities. Okay. There will be a requirement for that. I'm going to be working on that requirement. For that, I'm doing the transformations. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it is still not refreshed. Yeah, it's okay. And for the PySpark, you can actually look at it. For the someone asking related to the for the PySpark transformations, you can actually go for the PySpark transformations. Everything is here, documentation. You can go for PySpark documentation for PySpark transformations. So it will be helping you to all the transformations are here. You can go and check it. Okay, just check it with the PySpark transformations. All the things are here. Okay, any other questions? Okay, guys, thank you all. Okay, yeah, have a great day.